Welcome everyone to Wes's review, my review of the South Africa versus Wales game that we just saw take place in Cardiff. So the Springboks coming out victorious, 52 points to 16. So it was 8 tries to 1. Quite a dominant performance by the Springboks, I thought. Some areas of concern, but before we get onto the box, because that will be the majority of my review, we have to talk about the Welsh. So we know going into this game, we knew that the Welsh team was potentially quite experimental. There were some injuries that ruled out some players that would have been starting. So starting lineup wasn't too sure throughout the week, but there were, some significant players there who just didn't quite have the performance I think Warren Gatland was looking for. In addition to that, I think we saw some of that inexperience bleed itself into the game. One of those being one of the Welsh centres over the try line, ball in hand, his own try line, and for some reason going for what looked to be a forward pass, spilling it. Jesse Kriel, opportunistic, pounced on it and scored a try. His first try in 5 years in a Bok jersey. So fantastic for Kriel, not so good for Wales. I do think potentially you could look at this as a full-strength South African side versus a less than full-strength Welsh side. So read into that what you will, but more thoughts on that later. Finally, finishing up with the Welsh side, I do think they showed potential. There were moments, phases where they strung things together. However, I think Warren Gatland's still asking questions of some players. During our halftime show, Carl brought up a great point about how much pressure is there on the Welsh side because they don't know who's going to the World Cup. So players are still playing for their spots. And does that creep into the mentality? But moving on to the Springboks, I think we can say, I was going to say clinical, but I actually stopped myself there. It wasn't a clinical performance. It was a good performance in the fact that we took advantage of a less good team. We put away the points when we needed to. I think in the first half, we weren't doing ourselves any favors. We would go apply pressure. We would score a try, adding more pressure, and then we would give away quite a stupid penalty through ill discipline that then just alleviated that pressure. So it was 5-0, and then it was 5-3. And then we scored another try, or they got another penalty, and then 6-5, and then we scored another try, and then there was another penalty. So it was this whole back and forth. And going into the first half, I think about 12-9, it didn't really feel like there was much room to work. We could then talk about the penalty try, which in my personal opinion, I don't think deserved to be a penalty try. I think MOODIE had gone past the ball. There was no interference from Rio Dyer that stopped him from catching that ball. He just ran past it to bounce the ball through his arms. I do think, though, that there should have been a penalty, as there was, for Rio Dyer slapping it out of play, potentially a yellow card if that's what the letter of the law says. However, I do think a penalty try very, very harsh. So that puts the Welsh on the back foot already, and then that opportunistic try through a Welsh mistake of the try line gets us 24 points to 9. So all of a sudden now, a lot of breathing room. And in that space, then we saw the box start to click and things start to work better. However, I am really concerned, genuinely concerned about the Springboks' ability in the air. I think attacking-wise, we're not too bad. We're sending Colby up after the ball. We do hoist it up in the air. He comes round at an angle. I saw MOODIE doing this as well, which is excellent. Instead of running straight on, I remember Kieran Reid used to do this off kickoffs. He used to come literally from off field, round at an angle, so the jumpers didn't see him, and he used to come across the ball. Does two things. One, it sort of the blocking players struggle to actually block you. And then the second thing is that if you knock it on, your body is facing the correct position for it to knock backwards as opposed to knocking forwards. So I think on attack, our athleticism in the air and the ability to retrieve ball is not too bad. But when we are receiving kicks, we are nowhere. And good teams, like a better Welsh team, but New Zealand, an Ireland, France will identify that and go, okay, well, we're just going to hoist it to you, send up our wingers because they've all got fantastic aerial players and put us under pressure. So this week, I would like nothing more than just the wings and the fullbacks to be bombarded with high balls and just set all the big boys chasing after them. Get in their face so we get really comfortable under the high ball. But moving on to a more positive note to end on, I do think that the Boks were good in getting the job done. As I said earlier, it was a weaker Welsh team, and what can happen often sometimes when you play those weaker teams, your system, your structure, you get sucked into their game. But we didn't see that happen. I thought the Boks played well. We stuck to our systems. We put away the points when we needed to. So it was a much better second half. To score your record number of points in Wales, in Cardiff, is massive. So very, very pleased with that the Boks looked like they, when the job needs to get done, they could do it. I thought scrums looked pretty decent. I thought lineouts looked okay. We're not competing as much in lineouts as I'd like us to, or as effectively. I thought huge performances. I thought Colby was excellent. I thought he was electric. It sort of reminded me of Colby in that New Zealand World Cup game in 2019. He was all over the place. You couldn't catch him the first, second, third time. It took a fourth person to bring him down. So I thought he was excellent. I thought Achias Neyman to play a full 80 minutes and be present. And again, doing that hard yard. I mean, setting up that one try, break through the middle, looking for that space, shoving Peter Steph du Toit over the line. I thought he played excellently. But as the match officials or the commentators, whoever decides it, chose, Canan Moodie, for me, was undoubtedly the man of the match. I thought defensively, he was spectacular. He read everything the Welsh tried to do perfectly. I think his only fault was he gave away a stupid penalty, I think coming across or blocking or whatever the case was. But defensively, he was massive. Attacking, he was electric, clinical, finishing. I think potentially Canan Moodie might be playing his way into a starting number 14 jersey. And on that note, thank you guys for watching Forever Rugby on Forever Sports. I'm Wes Hartman, and we'll see you next time.